What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beer Chaser podcast, podcast number 4. I am Preston, your host for tonight. And tonight I am joined by some of the usual lot. We got one extra special guest tonight who's never been on our show. So let me introduce to you first. You know him from the Burnt Brian Show, one Mr. Brian Moore. Brian, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Good, my friend. How you been, man? What you been up to?
Crazy busy since like I said, I started a new job recently. So it's just been working nonstop. Really haven't had a lot of motivation to do videos, but thankfully I think things are settling down. I'm getting into the groove of it, and I think I've got a lot of good ideas and going to start trying to work on some new videos here in the real near future. And again, it's always a pleasure joining in these podcasts with the great crew that we have here.
Awesome. It's always glad to have you. The next guy, you know this guy very well from the Beer Chasers and at the Bar Podcast. One, Mr. Mike Peterson. Mike, how's it going?
Hey, everybody. Not too much, man. Just been busy working beer consulting, working on the podcast. That's been kind of crazy, but it's all good.
Yeah, you've been doing some big things, right? You got a website up now, official website.
Yeah, we finally got a website up. We did our Cube episodes, man. We're getting 14,000 downloads a week. So
I've seen that. Yeah, you've switched platforms, right? You've kind of gone away from YouTube, and you're doing the Stitchers and a couple other things.
Yeah, we're doing all audio and it.
Awesome.
Oh, we lost you, Mike. We lost you.
Audio.
Here we go.
There we go.
Things are awesome.
Awesome. And introducing to you, he's no stranger to the Beer Chasers. We saw him on episode 74. We featured Bowigens Brewing up there in lovely Castleberry, Florida. We are joined today by one Mr. Bobby Bowen. Bobby, how's it going?
It's great, man. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. So what you been up to? It's been a good while since I've seen you. Probably Smash Fest, right? In February or whatever that was, February, March?
Last time we caught up.
Yeah.
Things have been good. We're so I just had the Central Florida Top Brewer competition. We were working on that with some people from the city for a long time.
Congratulations, you won!
Yeah. Nailed it.
So yeah, we're filming this right before, so we're hoping he won. So we're hoping we're prophetic here, and it's the goal. But
Call it.
yeah, but it's a very interesting thing, right? You guys are assigned certain ingredients, and
So we kind of took it like a Top Chef competition. So every brewery that got involved got to pick 4 different random ingredients, two special ingredients, and a hop and a malt. So you kind of walk in there, you get something thrown at you, and now you got to make a beer with it. You could get something as easy as maybe like maple syrup and chocolate, or some people got like beets, mustard seed, carrots and mint, just stuff thrown at you, and you got to make a good beer out of it.
Well, the amazing thing is, is with so much stuff in beer, you can probably make that work. If you get creative enough with it and you understand your ingredients, like I think you can make almost any beer with all the styles and yeast and everything else you can use. So sounds pretty cool.
That's something that we're trying to showcase is, not only just the Central Florida craft brewing scene, but just the talent of some of these breweries around here and what we can actually do.
Very cool, man. Well, as I like to start the show, I always challenge everybody to kind of come forth with a beer that's kind of outside of your norm, outside of your style. Today, I have something that might make Mike very happy. I found in my local area, Due South Category 5 IPA.
Oh,
so,
yay!
I've been trying to become open more to the IPAs, especially since I've really been enjoying the New England IPAs. It's kind of reopened my love for hops again, and just cracking it. I'm like 2 feet away from this beer, and I can already smell the aroma off it. It smells fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead and pour this here if I can. So, Mike, what do you know about this beer? Tell us about it.
That's the Cat 3, right?
Cat 3 IPA, yeah.
Cat 3 is their year-round IPA out of Due South, out of Boynton Beach. It is solid. Their oaked Cat 3 is also awesome, and when they put grapefruit, it's also awesome. But that is, in my opinion, one of the best Florida IPAs you can get.
Smells very very West Coast-ish. It's got some nice pine to it, a little bit of citrus, but definitely seems a little more resinous and pine forward. I'm gonna go and take a sip of this. Cheers to you, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Brian, what you got?
Well, mine is definitely something different for me. This one just kind of jumped out to me. This is from Umami Brewing, or not Umami. What is this one? I don't even remember the name of it. It's all in Japanese. All I know is this is supposed to be a yuzu salt ale, and it's ale brewed with salt, yuzu juice, and yuzu peel. But what was cool about this one is the brewers created it. Was their I'm sorry, not sorry. And it's basically the brewers wanted to create something that was something that they alone would really enjoy. They didn't give a care what anybody thought, what anyone who drank it. It's all about them, which it was kind of nice to see the brewmasters kind of take care of themselves a little bit.
I know some of those brewers.
Oh, man. Definitely has a nice sweet aroma right off the bat, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I can tell you this this due south here, man. It's very piney. It's very sticky, man. It really coats. It's got a very long finish to it. This is definitely a hop lover's kind of hoppy beer. A little too hoppy for me, but it does have a nice malt balance, so it will be enjoyable. I will finish it.
Yeah, it's great. I love that beer.
Yeah, the Due South is definitely an awesome brewery all around. I've enjoyed all the beers I've had, and Category 3 is great. This one is, I had another beer from this brewery, and it was surprisingly good, and it's kind of the same with this one. It's weird because the sea salt definitely is very present. You get it, you can definitely taste it and feel the salt kind of dryness in the mouth, but it has a nice sweet fruit touch along with just a little bit of a hoppy and kind of malty backbone, just really subtle hints of those. Mostly a kind of a juicy front forward. It's a really good beer. Not bad.
Nice, man. Thanks for sharing. Bobby, while he's enjoying, let's see what we got.
All right. Well, it's hard for me to go outside my wheelhouse because I'd like pretty much almost like every style you can get. That's one of the things I kind of preach is you just got to find the right beer in each style. But to start off, I'm actually maybe something that might be out of your wheelhouse, like you mentioned earlier. But this is starting off with one of ours. So this is our Blue Main group. It's a blueberry mango Berliner Weiss or Floater Weiss, if you want to call it that.
Huh.
So one of the new ones.
Shameless plug.
Well, hey, us independent guys got to keep at it. So, but this one's been good for us. It's got a nice tart, kind of like actual, the actual blueberry flavor in it. When you eat a blueberry, it's not going to be super sweet. You're going to have that tartness with it. You have the mango that finishes that out, and it's kind of soft at the very end. Keeps a nice round balance. A very approachable sour beer for someone trying to get into that style.
Let me ask you, from the brewing aspect, don't again give away any industry secrets here. I know blueberry is typically very hard to work with. Would you have any advice to home brewers who want to take on blueberry?
I mean, the best way I've got them is either if you're gonna get them fresh. I'm a big proponent. I like to either cut the fruit in half, freeze it, and then toss it in the secondary. I've had a lot of good results going in the secondary. If something's extremely hard to handle or you can't get exactly fresh right around that time, the puree is always the way to go. If you can find nice aseptic organic purees, we use that as well.
Harvest Vintner or something like that in the bottle of the cans you can find from homebrew shop.
Then like Oregon Fruit has a really good line that they always keep like solid products around.
Cool. Any recommendation on like usage? Something on a lighter style beer? Would you go 5 pounds per 5 gallons or?
Yeah, depending on the beer, generally about 1 pound per gallon of fruit is my starting point. Something like raspberry is going to be a little bit less than strawberries. Like when we do our strawberry, we do the strawberry stout cake once a year. We go down to the Strawberry Festival, Plant City, and grab hundreds of pounds of them. And those I go upwards of 2 pounds per gallon, and even more depending on what you can get your hands on.
That's what I've heard. All right, Mike, what you got for us?
All right, so I'm in love with sours. So I'm drinking a sour beer, but it has cherries in it, and I haven't had good luck with cherries in sours. So I'm drinking a Prairie Vape Tricks, which is their sour ale aged on cherries, and it's delish.
I have to ask, Prairie, every time I see it, it's a $10 can. Is that somewhere in the same line as that, or?
No idea. I was drunk when I bought it.
That's how I make all my decisions.
Right?
Yeah. I think it was around like $8. But yeah, they're kind of pricey.
Yeah. Prairie in general is very pricey, but most of the time it's worth it. Some of the bomb variants, it's like, what was that really worth the extra $5 or whatever? Probably not.
It's good though. It's a nice cherry touch without being medicinal. So
sweet or tart?
A little bit sweeter.
Yeah. I know tart cherry generally works a little better, but if you can find the balance of the sweet, Marciano kind of style, then rock it out.
Yeah, it's a little sweeter.
All right, gents. That'll bring us to our topic for the night. So I know generally we do some news stories, but this one's pretty big, and it probably could take a good bit of time. I'm glad I have the collection, here in front of me that I do, because it's a topic I really wanted to kind of explore, not just kind of from one or two opinions, but from multiple opinions from different parts of the industry. So the thing we're going to talk about tonight is all of the recent and not so recent buyouts. So in the last year and a half, we've heard of a lot of buyouts from folks like AB InBev and Constellation Brands. So a good example, AB InBev most recently in May this year, bought out Wicked Weed, pretty much bought Wicked Weed outright, not a partial ownership, but straight outright bought Wicked Weed. About a year ago, they bought out Northern Brewer and Midwest Supply. So they're buying into not only beer brands, but they're also buying into like the homebrew market. You know, these are where a lot of homebrewers get their mail order grains and hops. You know, so now they have part ownership in some of these areas. There's a story out there where part of their contracts with South African hops, they're now only allowing the AB InBev umbrella of brewers from actually ordering some of these South African hops. Locally, we know Cigar City Brewing here in Florida is now bought out in partnership through a parent company that owns both Cigar City and Oscar Blues. Constellation Brands, who had recently bought Ballast Point, has also bought out Funky Buddha, another local Florida brewery. So it seems like the big boys in the landscape are now kind of realizing the value to having some of these craft beers in their portfolio. And I just get really curious because it spawns a lot of vitriol in the forums and on the Facebook groups when you see these buyouts. And, you know, I think everybody coming from different angles has their reasoning for it, but I've never really had a chance to sit down and kind of talk about it like that. So if I could, let me start with you, Brian.
Okay.
Just on the aspect of this, you know, Brian, you're a craft beer consumer. You do run a craft beer podcast, so you're definitely more knowledgeable than your average Joe. Your Budweiser kind of swill drinker, so you do have a palate for craft. So some of this news probably does perk your ears up a little bit. But what do you think when you hear stuff like this? Like, how does this affect you day to day?
Well, I think I respond in much the same way that a lot of other, I hate to use the term, but a lot of craft beer snobs kind of look at it in a sense is, I guess when I first heard about Wicked Weed, I was really disappointed. And I think a lot of other brewers in the same sense, when they heard, were also incredibly disappointed. You had people from like Sierra Nevada that still proudly, I believe they still tote that they're proudly family owned. There's a lot of small brewers that have come along and pulled out when I think they were having a big festival at the time at the Funkatorium. And you saw several brewers all getting together and showing their, putting out videos and saying how they were no longer going to go to this event and they didn't want anything to do with Wicked Weed. And I have to admit, sometimes when I go out and someone hands me a beer and I do a quick search and I see that it's AB bought it, I'm not very happy. And I guess, what is it? Space Dust would be one of the ones recently that I had. While it is a great tasting beer, it's just something about all of the hate and vitriol that came from Budweiser towards craft brewers and home brewers specifically. There was the Super Bowl ad that they ran where they kind of attacked, craft brewers and small, home brewers. And to see them buying them up, it's really disappointing. I don't know. I just, as someone who
say it's disappointing from your aspect, why does that disappoint you personally? Like as a consumer, why does it matter to you at the top who owns this thing if the beer maybe coming out is going to be the same? You might have more access to it because it's going to be more marketable, from the marketing dollars behind it and the distribution dollars. So, I don't say personal level, but why would it make you mad or upset?
I guess because part of the reason why I do a lot of the videos and the things I do is I like working with entrepreneurs, people. That's what the whole dream of America is. The idea that you can start your own business, grow it to success. And to me, when you just sell out to a company like Budweiser, which used to be American, now it's not owned by Americans, it's owned by Belgium or, another country, to see them just selling out, it's like anybody. If a rock star sells out or anybody that sells out to me, and I look at it as just being that you've given up on your dream. Maybe you saw that there was a potential that, like you said, you could reach new audiences, you could reach different areas, but there, with how craft beer is continuously growing, there are more and more people banding together. And I think that if these small craft breweries just stuck together and keep growing their own brands, eventually distribution lines would grow in their favor. And who knows, maybe, there's always going to be people that love drinking watered down, Budweiser. And I like it on a hot summer day when there's nothing really else around and we're on the beach or a lake. But it's just, it's sad to see kind of someone giving up on their dream in a sense and selling to the giant, monster. Just me, personal opinion, yeah. I guess.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how does this affect your purchase of said products? So going into the store, and most stores, even your Publixes and Winn-Dixies now have a pretty decent craft beer selection. You're going to have some pretty decent high-end stuff. You're definitely going to have the swill and something in the middle. How likely is this to sway your actual purchase, though? So I know you understand it. and you have a passion for it, and you don't like to see them sell out, and you'd rather them kind of grow on their own and kind of make it big on their own. But reality, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it to influence your purchase if that's a beer you really want?
Honestly, I would say it's pretty high, at least like a 7 or 8 to me. There's many times when I go to my local store, and now where I go, a great small craft beer store, on the shelves now, they'll put who owns it. So you'll see AB, you'll see InBev on all of their different ones. So right away when I walk in, I go, that's just not something I like. And I do like the idea that I believe it was Sam Adams, founder, had talked about, or someone, where they're working on creating a seal that would go on, so that this is kind of a craft, official brewery beer with their whole seal of approval. I kind of like that idea. I like supporting local businesses, small businesses. I like giving them my money, not giving giants. I'd rather go to the Wards, a local supermarket, than go to Publix, or I go to the discount beverage store that I go to get beer. It's a small family-run place that gets great beers. I'd rather go there than ABC. It's just a matter of, I guess, giving to small people that are just trying to have a successful business and raise their families.
Right on. So regardless of the buyout, whether it's something as smaller on the Funky Buddha scale versus something larger on the Wicked Weed scale, to you it's still the same. You kind of take it as a sellout move, and that it's not something you're going to support, and you would rather spend your dollars into someone that's local, even though they still may actually be local in your local market, but because they have the backing of somebody that's not local, you would still go the different route.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, to me, it's just mostly a hate of InBev for the most part. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Constellation Group. I haven't really done much research on them. I do know that, looking at my collection of bottles, I have just about every Funky Buddha special series that they've put out, because I do enjoy all of their beers. I think they're outstanding. So to me, I guess it's just more of a distaste that InBev is left in my mouth after all of their attack ads, after all of these things that I've seen back and forth. It's just a strong distrust for them. If I see InBev on it, I'm probably not going to buy it. Other groups like Ballast Point, Constellation Group that bought them, I'll probably give them a try.
All right.
Or stick
Mike,
with them.
Let's go ahead and shift gears. So you've had your hand in the industry. You've been a bartender at World of Beer. You currently are working in the beer industry as a beer consultant. What does some of this kind of news mean to you? Like, and even from the podcast aspect, and just being, you're more than your average Joe kind of into the industry. You're not only an enthusiast, but you're, a super enthusiast at this point. You talk about beer, you blog about beer, you buy beer in hopes, to sell it to consumers, So
yeah.
What does this type of news mean to you when you hear these things? How does this influence like kind of your purchasing power?
It really doesn't affect me when buying beer to put on the shelves and whatnot, because most people aren't going to see the fact that Funky Buddha got bought out. They're just going to see Funky Buddha. I know I have a long-standing theory that majority of the craft beer industry, in terms of drinkers, aren't as informed as us as a whole. Like, they probably have no idea who Constellation is. They have no idea Constellation owns Ballast Point. They just see Ballast Point, Sculpin, and say, I've had that before. I've liked it. I'm going to go buy it. So in terms of that, it doesn't really affect me right now. Maybe down the line when, more stuff is coming out, the prices do change. It'll become more difficult with, the keg pricing, the bottle pricing, anything like that. But as of right now, I don't see a change. I think buyouts are a business. Like, this is a business world we all live in. Like, craft beer was founded on the local, the quality. And the problem isn't necessarily the buyouts, it's the fact that these breweries are selling. Not AB buying them, but these breweries are selling to them. So it's business, man. Everyone has a price, and if AB has the money to give someone $500 million for their business, like, who wouldn't do that? So it's unfortunate, and I understand why people are upset, but but why people aren't upset. But in reality, like, this is American business. It's hard. The dream is to own a business and be successful, but that might not be everyone's dream.
I know Bobby's looking to chime in here, it looks like.
I know. I'm making them wait.
That's fine. Keep going. I'll wait.
All these businesses that, Apple, Google, like, these are all big businesses. So they have money, they have access. And unfortunately, that's the economy we live in, to where it's a lot harder for small businesses to become big in such a crowded market.
Yeah, I think everywhere, totally. That's true. No matter whether it's beer industry, whether it's food industry, whether it's a toy industry, clothing industry, like the internet has made accessibility to products. It's great for the consumer because we have a lot of choice, and it's a difficult landscape for the seller because
competition.
There's a lot of competition no matter where you're at. Bobby, what you got?
So, I mean, I agree with the aspect of, it's a business decision. When people like Mike and he says they look at it, it's like, if this is a business move, this is what other companies are doing in different industries. He's right on that. The thing that maybe some people don't see, or some people that actually do see it, they're getting so upset, is they're not just buying out wicked weed and then growing wicked weed, but what they're doing behind the scenes when they're buying wholesalers, when they're buying distribution channels, when they're manufacturer, they're all three tiers of the system. And now they're using those contracts to shelve other brands that were already signed on. So see, if I'm signed on with a distributor, they get bought out by an AV house. That AV house has my contract and decides, you know what, I'm not going to sell you in this county anymore. And now you have your beer, you're going to have to buy it back in 60 days. They have the power to put these small breweries out of business by things they can't control just because they bought out something else. And that's exactly what they intend on doing. They're also, it's their biggest thing, especially with AB and Bev. I think maybe that's why everybody's more upset with these buyouts, is because they're more the face and the company that is kind of trying to, screw over the little guy and just put him out of business. Their biggest thing is perception. And whether it's their biggest brands, they're Bud Light, Budweiser, and what have they done? They've lost that perception. But now they buy up these big brands, these popular ones, Wicked Weed, and all the other ones that are in that group. Goose Island started it. It was probably like the first one, I think, major one to get bought out in the craft beer world. But now you see those on the shelves, and those prices are going to go from $10.99 to a 6-pack. Now you're going to see them $8, $7. And what you're going to see at Bud Light looking on there for a 6 or 7. I don't know how much it is anymore, but the price difference is going to start changing. It's going to be very similar. So their concept is, in people's minds, they're not going to see that big differentiating factor, even though the quality is going to be better. It could be coming from a local company, but they're trying to change that in people's minds, and they're doing a lot of other tactics to really hurt craft beer industry. I know we'll talk about some hops and stuff here in the future, but all these things they're doing, I take it personally because it does affect my business. And when I have accounts come to me and tell me, well, your keg was this price, it was great, people liked it, but this other person came in, told me they're giving me 2 kegs for half that price of one of these AB brands, then I see that directly affecting my business. They're not just promoting themselves, they're only taking interest in trying to pretty much destroy what the rest of the craft beer world is.
I think the interesting thing, and I know, Mike, is something you've touched on before, is there's a weird sense of entitlement in the beer industry, and I think more so than a lot from like the consumer side. I think part of the issue people have, is that you have your little local brewery. We'll take Bowigens, for example, at Castleberry. People from Castleberry want to go support their local Castleberry guy. And people have been coming to Bowigens once a month, once every 6 months for a couple years, feel this entitlement almost that this is my place. I've helped you get to where you are. And without us in the local place, people visiting this place, you really wouldn't be as far as you are without us. And like, this is ours. And I think a lot of them get real butthurt when people sell out because it's no longer that cool thing. It's kind of like indie punk bands or something. Like, they're really cool until they got signed and found out, and then all of a sudden they're not cool anymore. And I think we see a lot of that in the industry. And I think, Mike, you might be able to expand a little better. I know you've touched this topic a couple of times. The entitlement of the craft beer audience.
I mean, that's essentially the monster the industry created, is entitlement, right? And I like the fact that people, go to the local spots to support the local breweries and
We're losing you, Mike.
Oh my God! Can you hear me?
Ghetto internet.
I know, dude. I'm on wireless, man. Can you hear me?
You're good now.
So, the entitlement is pretty much what the industry created, right? Is the sense that these people feel like they're part owners of a brewery because they're small and local. When in actuality, your customer is supporting something that you believe in against, buying the AB guys, right? And that's where craft beer breweries have the advantage of that local market and establishing a brand locally, and AB doesn't have that. They just have ads on TV.
something we use in the industry I'm in marketing stuff is like, it's not a local, it's hyper local. It's no longer like Castleberry. It's like this block of Castleberry, you know, with the amount of breweries that are opening up now, like, I mean, the regions of cities are getting like breweries now and stuff. So I mean, it's becoming like choice is way better than it used to be.
I would say it's the other way around. I think it's, instead of being hyper local, I think it's statewide. You know, how many people travel all over the state to go to these different breweries that they haven't been to in a while? You know, I go out of my way every time I go down south to go to Lauderdale or Saltwater or due south. So it's establishing the brand not only locally within a market that AB is trying to infiltrate, and they're having a hard time with it, and the numbers show, and that's why the buyouts are even happening in the first place. Because if they can't influence the consumers, they're going to buy the process.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they're, you know, screwing over the industry in a way.
So I'm looking at an article here from Paste, you know, that makes some really good points in this conversation, you know, and they kind of lay it out like basically the BS arguments of craft beer sellouts, how brewery buyouts hurt craft beer. And I'll just run through each one of these real quick. If you guys want to give an opinion on your thoughts on this, on the question, what you think about this. So, you know, line of BS number one is this buyout will allow access to new distribution networks and can get beer to the customers in new markets. You'll be able to get our beer in more locations than ever before. So what do you think about that argument in favor of why we are going to sell out?
I want Bobby to go on that one.
I mean, it's all. I mean, I know they're not like extremely naive when they're doing this, so it's kind of like maybe they're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. I mean, that is in fact that is one of the cases. They will be able to have these channels come in and grow their brand. But the truth of the fact is they're no longer in charge of their brand. And if they think it's all about building their business and that's what AB has their intentions of, it's wrong. I mean, AB's intentions are to just destroy everybody else and build up their initial brand. They're not counting on Wicked Weed becoming the next Bud Light. They just want to take part of that market and use that to in essence hurt a lot of the other guys. That's why you saw such a big backlash, especially on the Wicked Weed. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that upset. I think because they were they were that beloved in the community. You know, AB saw that. Kind of was like another point, and you guys may have touched on it earlier, but you know, it seems like AB or Wicked Weed got such a big backlash, but you see Funky Buddha, and it's almost like
escaped away.
They got a free pass, and it was interesting for me to see on that level. And then maybe, you know, like Brian touched on it when he was talking about not knowing a lot about Constellation brands, but everybody knows what AB is doing. But with Funky Buddha, everybody kind of just let it slide away.
Mm-hmm.
I
think AB has such a bad reputation compared to Constellation, where people viewed Constellation as, oh, well, we're gonna get more Funky Buddha all the time everywhere. Compared to, you know, the AB with Wicked Weed is a complete kind of, they're gonna tank the brand more or less and just outright buy it and everything.
At the same time, when I look at it, you know, InBev, we all know what they've been doing as far as going to the federal level and all the lobbyists that they pushed in, and the rules and regulations that they fought for is to help keep those small craft breweries down. Like you said, buying the distribution channels, buying up all of these little avenues that prevent these small craft breweries from really becoming successful. They've tried everything they can to keep the small craft breweries down. And if they can't succeed, then they just buy them up as a last resort, is what it seems like. I don't know. It just bothers me so much.
Yeah, we've talked in the past too, where they've been almost in trouble for some of the incentive programs that they'll put out there. Like, you know, hey, if you carry X amount of my products, we'll give you more of this or some of this or some sort of, it's not necessarily a kickback, but for all intents and purposes, it's an actual kickback, you know, which you're not supposed to be able to do.
Pay to play. Sam Adams did it, got caught.
Yeah.
And they've done it, and they'll go into a bar and, you know, buy the whole draft system for them, install everything, drop, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to set stuff up, and now the stipulation is you have to carry only these brands, or you use this distributor kind of deal. Like I said, it's not legal, but somehow it's being allowed to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. So the next line of BS is, it's a business. The point of a business is to make money. Are they not allowed to cash out? What's the difference between this buyout and X other buyout?
I think that's a valid point. I think that's a valid point. And I mean, if you want to sell your business, you can sell your business. It's the person's choice.
I don't disagree with Mike on that. We kind of touched on it earlier. Like, business is business. I think the reason for me when it comes into stepping over the line where I'm not happy with it is when it directly is going to impact my business, and they come and attack my other distribution channels, or how I'm allowed to sell my beer in certain states. That's the back end of it that a lot of people don't see, and that's the part that really, I think upsets a lot of brewers.
Right. Next one. As long as the beers don't change, what's the problem?
I've been guilty of saying admit it.
Well, I mean,
you don't know until you won't know until you have it. Really.
I mean, I think we're going to touch on some of this, obviously later. But some of the things that they are buying is going to potentially change the taste of beer. I mean, potentially. I mean, my fears of us, at least from the homebrew aspect, and we'll talk on that later. The things that they're buying up, they could potentially stop certain people from buying ingredients that they want to use to continue making their product, and I think once they buy the brewery, they may force that brewery to use substandard ingredients. Potentially, I don't know what kind of contracts or deals they're working out when they buy up these breweries. But, to me, I mean, Budweiser has always used somewhat cheap ingredients, cheap stuff to mass produce a very unflavorful, mild beer, a mild lager. And I just worry that the beer will eventually start changing in flavor when, if these breweries are forced to kind of start changing things and go with substandard ingredients. But again, I don't know what their contracts are.
I definitely think you can see a change in it. Like you said before, they're a big business. They're worried about the bottom line. There's some of the stuff that we do in like smaller breweries, regional breweries that can do that won't necessarily make sense financially, but we want to brew this beer and we want to put whatever the hell we want to put in it. Cost out the window because we're going to make this beer and it's going to be good. They obviously don't see stuff like that, so you'll definitely see an impact on that side of things.
I'm curious to see their bottom line if they're buying up hop farms and various product distributors, what their cost would be if they kept everything like that in house. So I don't want to say no or yes, but I'm more anxious to see kind of what comes out of it as time progresses.
Yeah, so the next one is in line with what we're talking about now. This buyout will allow us to access new malt and hop contracts we could never pull off before. So that's the other line of bullshit. So, in the translation here, what they tell you is basically, once again, sure, but at the expense of the entire rest of the industry. And they liken it to, there was an article where, one of these AB InBev owned breweries was like, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I have access to so many different hops. Meanwhile, there's 6,000 other brewers out there who are like, just picking for, I wouldn't call it scraps per se. I'm sure that there's plenty of hops to go out there, but the access to some of the new and some of the funky stuff from that South African region, that been coming out has been blocked, essentially.
Commandeered.
Yep.
Commandeered.
It's been happening for a couple of years now. Hop shortages and wait lists and stuff like that. So that's to my knowledge, that started happening 2 years ago, but I'm sure later than that too, or sooner.
Oh yeah, it's probably been happening for a little while, but just recently too with the whole South African buyout, it's even affected local breweries here in Central Florida. Hourglass Brewing had a couple of I think 3 of their IPAs that were about to be core beers, solely based around South African hops, and they had a contract with a local farm, had everything lined up, and they get an email, when they're trying to brew the beer, a week or two beforehand. And the guy just ignores them, and finally they get a letter that they've been purchased and everything's been commandeered to Saab Miller, which is owned by AB now, outside of the U.S. And all those hops are going to allocated to their breweries. There's other larger breweries around the country that had the same exact deal. Hops contracted, brews in plan, beer's ready to go, packages, and now they get an email saying, nope, sorry, you can't have these hops anymore.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm just saying that's a shame that there's no legal action within that contract that both parties would have to agree that you can't break it without getting the first allocation or whatnot.
Yeah,
that's what surprises me.
and you know, like with their lobbyist power, they can do a lot of stuff, and laws don't really affect them. I mean, know like the whole, you know, the South African, how all that would work with legalities, but obviously they were able to do it.
You're kind of SOL, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, what I was going to ask is, you know, as a home brewer, I can just go down to my local homebrew shop, you know, get a couple ounces at a time. So I'm not really wrapping my head around the aspect of I've got to buy hundreds of pounds of a contract. If you could, Bobby, I don't know if you have much experience in the volumes you brew. Like, what is that contract process like, and how big of a hit is this when something like this happens?
It'd be pretty huge for you. Like we contract certain hops. We have contracted out for 3 or 5 years. I was on a waiting list just to even contract Citra. Like, you know, it's a very well-known hop that's pretty popular. But just to even get stuff like that I'm not talking about the new extreme varieties that are coming out, the South African hops and stuff. So a lot of breweries will plan their whole year out, you know, different beers they want to do. Especially if you get your core brands out, you have your labels done, you're ready to produce these beers, and all of a sudden you're told, you know, a week before you're going to brew that you can't anymore. That's pretty devastating. That could hurt a lot of local guys, a lot of, you know, small brewers or brewers that even planned on, you know, these beers coming out, and now they can't. That's a lot of wasted time and money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So I'm not sure if I had too many more topping points to it exactly. I don't know if there was anything we missed that you guys wanted to touch on. But again, you know, I was real interested because there's so much vitriol, especially with the Wicked Weed one we talked about. I mean, it was just absolute. You know, there was a beer festival that breweries were pulling out of because they didn't want to support a brewery who was now bought by AB InBev. You know, they had to reschedule this whole festival, and just again, you know, it's Constellation one, not as big, but you know, there's definitely ones out there that really push people's buttons, and it's always curious, you know, like really why is that? Because to me, I really give my thoughts on it, but to me, it's at the end of the day, it's like as the consumer, it doesn't matter so much to me from that level. Like when I go to the store, you know, if I wasn't into the industry itself, I wouldn't know about any of this. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to start seeing new brands, and that's a whole other topic. You know, whether we've hit brand saturation or not in beer saturation. But to me, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy the beer because I either like it, you know, someone else has recommended it to me, or it's affordable and I want to take a chance on it. You know, the days of me getting buying beers because the label looks cool. Yeah, I think we've all been guilty. Like, hey, that looks pretty cool, and you buy it and you get home and the beer is absolutely awful. You know, but it had a cool label and stuff like that. So those days for me are mostly gone. I bought enough beer to be like, let me research this a little bit first. But you know, for the end user, the consumer, like I don't think they really care about this from the craft nerd side of it. To me, it's interesting, but I still tiptoe to where it's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't affect my day to day. I still get up, I go to work. It doesn't really change me personally. You know, it's an interesting talking point, and I could see the arguments, especially, you know, with the AB InBev, where it's like, you know, it's the guy who's been beating on your sister, and she keeps complaining to you, and then all of a sudden she goes back and marries a guy, and it's like, well, this is the dude you've been complaining about for 3 years, has been beating the crap out of you, and now you're marrying the guy. Like, I don't get it, you know. But at the end of the day, hey, it's my sister, and I still love her, so I'm going to support her, and you know. But then I could see things from Bobby's aspect and from brewers to where, you know, as a local brewer in a smaller market who's trying to get a name out there for themselves, and these guys are doing very nefarious tactics, you know, business sneaky stuff, you know, that the consumer doesn't necessarily see or care about. You know, at the end of the day, they just want to buy a product. They don't have an understanding of the inner circle and the workings of it. To those guys who are out there going out there, living it and breathing it and having to fight against it. You know, I've heard many stories, you know, from Bobby, from Dano, from Mermaid Juice, so some of the stuff they've had to go through, you know, and many others trying to get into distro and just that tough battle. I do understand it, and I do have a heart for it, so I do have a soft spot. But you know, to me, I lean personally to the, you know, at the end of the day, for me personally, it doesn't necessarily affect what I do. I don't not buy a brand because it's bought by a certain parent company. If the beer's good, I'm going to drink it regardless, you know, and I will still always support local. I still always will go out and try local breweries. That's one of my favorite things still to do. But when I go to buy a more commercial product, one that's tried, tested, true to the market, that who owns it ultimately will not sway the way I purchase. I don't know if you guys have anything to add after my little diatribe there.
Yeah, I'll go real fast. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I know when people come in and, you know, they're looking for beers, I always push super local, within Florida, Orlando first, and then outward in the state of Florida. But you know, most people just don't know. They just don't know. They just say, "Oh, I had this," Bowigens heffing awesome before. I've liked it. I'm gonna go there and have it again. And that's where, I think craft breweries have the advantage of hitting people direct, face to face, more on a personal level than AB and Constellation do. In terms of, the industry's changing. Really, it's the older people who grew up drinking Michelob, who grew up drinking Bud Light. They're all getting older. Unfortunately, slowly dying off. And the younger generation, which I would say would be us, is coming up, getting older. We're making more money, going out and drinking more. So I think despite the buyouts, despite the hardships, I think the industry and the way things are moving are catering more towards craft beer, slowly but surely. And I think that's why these are even happening. But I think we're winning. Deep down, I think we're winning.
Who's we?
Craft beer is winning.
Craft beer is winning. Bobby, final thoughts.
I agree. I agree and I don't, but I think people are more aware than maybe we think. In my world, obviously, I have more of a vision focused on that, and so obviously it affects me more when I wake up and hear about things like that than obviously when you guys wake up and go pick out a 6-pack and stuff. But I think the more I hear about it, the more I get, friends text me or I see random people, my mother-in-law will even tell me like, oh, like I won't drink this beer. I see that's AB and Bev. Like, no. And, she used to work building, AB breweries or Budweiser back in the day. Now she's more into the craft movement, understands what it takes to build up the craft brewery, to build your local business and support those guys who do it for the love of the craft and not trying to hurt everybody else. But in the end of the day, one of the biggest things too is make good beer. I think that the majority of the fan base will be okay if things don't change and Funky Buddha still comes out making great beer. There won't be that big of a backlash for it. If you see that product cheapening, then you're going to hear about it and it's going to slowly dwindle down. But we're in it for the love of craft beer. We want to make good beer, and we're going to take care of our brothers and sisters and people that believe in what we want to, that believe in what we do and make good beer. So.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing with the craft beer industry that I've learned over the years, in the different aspects, whether it's in the homebrewing circle or the podcast circle or, in the brewing circle and doing events and stuff, is that it's such a unique industry, where you wouldn't see McDonald's and Burger King opening across the street from each other and then walk into the middle of the street and shaking hands and going, hey, let's collaborate on a burger or special fries. And I'll sell the burger over here and you have the collaboration fries over there. And like, it just doesn't happen. And in the craft beer world, you'll see breweries, collaborate, and like it's not about the competition per se. Even though you all have to get your share. I mean, you have to get your piece. You have to pay your rent. You have to pay for your ingredients and pay your employees. And so I don't think you like to see business go, but at the same time, I don't know what it is. Maybe you can expound on that, Bob. Being part of that. Like, what is that camaraderie? Like, how is it that you guys just don't care to? I won't say lose business, but you're freely like, yeah, I don't care. Go over there and drink their beer. It's pretty good. And I got some pretty good stuff too. Like. It's so unique.
Yeah, it is a very unique industry, and I've never seen anything like it. From people wanting to show up and just volunteer and work for free, which is how I even started in the industry. I just kept showing up. Somebody gave me a job because I love craft beer. I want to do it.
Noted.
But the whole camaraderie and the collaboration thing. It's brewers realize like the best way, and it's a cliche thing, but we all say it, is the rising tide floats all ships. And we do these collaborations. We're not losing money out of it. If another brewery has the beer and sells it, it's still promoting our brand, it's promoting their brand, and that brand recognition is growing both ways. So we help each other out. They show us new avenues, we show them new avenues, and we all become successful because of it. So I think the craft beer community was kind of built on that, and that's been ingrained of we're going to do things our way, not typical Wall Street business way, and build this up. And then now when all these buyouts start happening, there's a lot of deep ingrained feelings in there, especially through the craft beer community.
That makes a lot of sense. You guys have been together, and then you got the guy who's basically cheating on you almost. It's like, oh man. All right, Brian, final thoughts. What do you got on this topic? Because I want to put this to rest. As much as I love talking about it, I think a lot of us are ready to move on. But final thoughts. What do you got to say?
Just same thing that kind of Bobby had touched on. I do think that maybe a lot of people don't know the inner workings, but at the same time, the craft beer community is very intelligent, and they're really hip to what's going on. And I think a lot of people, I still know so many people that the only thing they'll drink is what they know, and it's the standard, Budweiser, Michelob, Coors, all that standard stuff. And then even people who don't like beer, they'll try one of those, and they go, when you try to introduce them to some really awesome beer, they'll go, no, I don't like beer. I've had it. You're like, it's so hard to try to convince somebody who's tried a lesser beer to really try all of these new beers. And once they do, they typically go all the way in and then start trying new flavors. And I mean, I remember many years ago when I had first had my first, pale ale at a bar, and the bartender had said, well, it was a microbrewery in Colorado probably 15 years ago. And they had said, well, it's kind of one of those, you either love it or hate it things. And I tried it and said, wow, this is amazing. My whole world changed. I started trying new flavors, new styles. And, I think sometimes we don't give enough credit to the craft beer community. They really are hip to what's going on, these changes. All the forums I go to, you're always seeing, again, the same disputes, the same fights, arguments over it. It is sometimes a clash, but there is a lot of unity and a lot of agreeance in what's happening as far as the market changing. And when it comes to these local breweries, I do love seeing when one of my favorites is featured in a tap takeover, and one of the other small breweries I haven't been to yet, I'll go, oh, well, let's go check out, this place. I haven't tried that beer yet, and I'll get a flight and get to try all their beers. And the camaraderie, like we've said, is amazing with all of these small breweries. And it's just such a neat community to me. It's unlike any other out there, from hot sauces and all of these other craft, small uprising communities. The craft beer industry is amazing, and the people in it are really awesome. And it's led me to meet you guys and so many other great people. I mean, I don't have too many in my circle that enjoy here in town. I live in a small, mostly country town, and everyone here tends to drink standard, store-bought stuff. Even when I'll take them into the store and they see a huge selection, they just tune all of that stuff out, and they're only looking at, Budweiser or, the substitutes. And hopefully that'll continue to change, and we'll start seeing, more people trying new flavors as we go along. But I don't know. That's about all I got on that one.
All right, gents. Anything else before I close this one up?
Nope.
All righty. Let me share my screen here. Make sure I'm presenting to everybody. Oh God.
Tunnel vision.
There it is.
Yeah. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is every podcast I like to feature some new home brewing gadget, and this is the latest one that I saw pop across my feed, called the Play-Doh. So as you can see the title here, can you guys see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, reinventing the airlock. And let me make sure that I'm actually publishing this out, present to everyone. There we go. All right, reinventing the airlock. So in short, as you can see, the airlock here is a very high-tech digital kind of airlock. And what this thing is going to do is measure the CO2 that is coming out of the fermenter, and somehow by the magic of God himself, give you an accurate specific gravity, your fermentation activity, your alcohol percentage, the ambient temperature, and the biggest selling point, I think, as Bobby could probably test, is it's 100% non-invasive. As you can see, there's nothing going inside the device or the wort here, which is super important because there are products in the market. Beer Bug is an example. The Tilt Hydrometer is another one that you can soak in here, but this is totally non-obtrusive. Don't have to worry about sanitizing it necessarily. Just stick it on top of your airlock. Again, you can see here, it's basically controlled through your smartphone. You get some cool updates on this. You can know when the fermentation started. You can track the fermentation. Bunch of sciencey stuff here, but again, converted to ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide during fermentation. You can see the bubbles. Somehow, by counting these bubbles, you can actually track the fermentation, the gravity. You can go check this out on Kickstarter. I believe they have sold it already, so you can actually now pre-order it. I believe it's $160, so it's a little more on the pricey side for what it is. There's definitely other things like Tilt Hydrometer is a little less expensive, but just people having a good time. Look at that. I want to be one of those people. You farted. Yeah, and you can come check us out, get all the details. I'm not going to bore everybody with this, but just in principle, Bobby, being a brewer, I don't know if there's anything like this in the professional world. I'm not exactly sure how you do your airlock exactly. Let me go ahead and stop this here. But Bobby, what do you think about that? Have you seen this before? Have you heard of any of this kind of technology or?
On the homebrew side, I mean, besides the ones you mentioned that actually, like you said, that stick down to the beer and you can get readings and stuff like that. There are stuff on the larger scale that you can have readings and everything into the tank. The first time I'm hearing about something just measuring the CO2 content coming up, taking the readings from that. That's I guess the only thing I maybe be skeptical about is they're talking about, you know, the bubbles per minute, and sometimes you're not getting much CO2 coming out, but there's definitely fermentation and things happening within the beer. So I'd be interested to check it out and look more into it and run some tests and stuff. It looks really cool.
Yeah, for $180 or whatever it is, you know, it seems very, I won't say cheap, but that kind of technology to me seems like it'd be way more expensive. So that's my first concern with it, is to you is like, well, really, how accurate is that? I mean, from reading the site, again, I skimmed through here for the podcast, but if you go and read, like, you know, they got some science behind it. They've tested this out. And they swear it is super accurate. And I had the same concerns you do. It's like thinking about, I've had fermentations where, for example, you've experienced this in adding peanut butter powder to a beer where it's actually caused a blanket to not allow some CO2 to come out. So fermentation's happening underneath there, but it's not necessarily escaping. And I don't know if that's a common phenomenon. Maybe that's the edge case, but it's definitely interesting. And what's amazing to me, whether it's this product or some of the other ones we featured, there is no shortage of gadgets now coming out to kind of help home brewers, you know, whereas a hydrometer 5 years ago was very high tech, you know, something that's going to basically float in some sugar and tell you how heavy that sugar weighs or whatever was pretty high tech. And now you got stuff like the beer bug and the tilt hydrometer and items like this. So, you know, again, it was interesting to me at least to be able to feature it today and kind of put it out there for people to kind of check out, see if that's something for them. But that definitely blows my mind a little bit. But at that price range, it's like, I don't see how it could be that cheap.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the biggest takeaway and the cool thing is that there's so much more innovation going into everything, which is what craft beer is about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about the innovation and always learning more and perfecting your craft. So with this coming out and allowing homebrewers to get more detailed, you know, vitals about what's going into the beer, it's only going to, you know, have you ask that question and learn more about what's going on. Like I said, it looks like something cool I like to test out, but as far as its accuracy and stuff, I'd like to see, you know, more.
Yeah. I think the plus for this one is that for me, these types of things fall into two categories. Either it helps me make better beer or it helps making beer easier. And I think this at least falls and it helps make beer better, again, because you can get some more information about the brewer, what's going on. You know, things like what's that new ferment, the catalyst fermenter that's got the butterfly valve. You can take this stuff off. Like, it's not necessarily going to help you make better beer, but it might make things easier. It's easier to clean. You can yeast harvest easier. So I generally tend to go towards the things that make better beer versus make beer easier. I'm okay doing it the hard way sometimes. You know, that's just I'm a pain in the ass like that. You know, I'm just gonna school of hard knocks, whatever. I'm gonna do it the hard way, but I'd rather spend my money on stuff that makes beer better. So at least this is one of those types of items. I don't know if you saw a year ago that they sell basically a spaghetti colander to help boilovers. Did you see that thing?
Yes.
Did you see that, Bobby?
No, I missed that one.
I swear to God, it's a $50 spaghetti colander that you put on top of your kettle that's got holes in it. So when you have a boil over, it helps like dissipate the bubble so it doesn't boil over.
Was that sold by Northern Brewer?
Indeed, it is. And it's like,
calendar.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a $50 spaghetti colander, you know. And I've seen people put like a metal like spoon across the top, like for the same purpose. But to me, it's like, how much you understand your volumes and don't have a boil over. That's really like the easy problem. Is like you've got too much shit in there. Like, don't put as much in your kettle. You can't boil that much.
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
What was that? What'd you say?
Nothing.
Say it again.
Knees weak, arms are heavy, yo.
All right, you guys got anything on this? You're non-brewers. Besides jokes.
I don't think you got it.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Okay, it's all right.
Explain it to me.
Eminem song.
No,
There's vomit on his sweater already. Spaghetti.
Okay, now I'm there. Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, that's a death metal guy if he knows, one Eminem lyric.
Spaghetti calendar.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I think all the business is out of the way. I would say we play some Quiplash.
Yes.
All right. Sure. Let me go ahead and set this up for us real quick. I'm going to share the screen again. All right. Can you guys see?
Matrix? Yes.
All right, so you're going to want to log into jackbox.tv on your phone. Those watching those watching at home, this is pre-recorded. You will not be able to join along with us this time around. So don't try. Maybe try. See what happens. I don't know.
Might get someone else's game.
Yeah, if you guys can, just let me get logged in first. All right. So again, we've played this before. This is a game where you will be asked 2 separate questions. You want to answer with something very funny. You basically want people to vote for your answer because it's so hilarious. And then your answer will be put up against somebody else's. Oh, while you guys are getting logged in real quick, I'm gonna go grab another beverage. So if I'm not back, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
All right.
What do I want to name myself? Nah.
I already took my
start.
Hold on.
I
I was gonna put something offensive, but it won't fit. So.
tried to put Mike Spaghetti, but it's too long.
I was too quick. Too slow. I should have put Mike.
Oh, I should put Bobby.
Wow, riveting conversation going on here. You let it go dead. You failed me. So
No.
I'm an idiot. I just realized that the beer I drank earlier was category 5, as I just cracked open category 3.
Oh, we gotta re-record it now.
Yeah, upside. But,
Cat 5 is even better, dude.
Cat 5, it was super resonant, and it actually had a really nice melon to it. Like it started developing melon through the palate. Maybe I let it warm up a little bit there, but all right.
I mean,
everybody's in?
South IPAs are awesome. Yeah, I'm in.
All right. Good. We're launching. So I'll go and read along the questions that we see. So I do encourage you guys to try to be quick because there is a little bit of a lag usually between what you guys are seeing and what's live. So try not to dilly-dally, and we should be all good. So again, Bobby, you're going to answer on your smartphone to the questions that you see on the phone, and you'll see the answers along with the everybody else on the actual screen here. So they're going through the instructions right now. Basically saying what I just said in a much fancier way.
All right, here we go.
All right, round number one. So again, everybody's going to get 2 questions, so answer quickly as you can on both questions. And, don't blurt out what you put. Where's the skip button? All right, so everybody right now is getting 2 different questions. Oh, man.
All right. I don't know who this celebrity is. 'Cause that's terrible.
I love this game so much.
All right, looks like we have all 4 answers in. Good job, gentlemen. Nice and quick. All right, so question 1 was, it sweet when grandma knits you a scarf? It's really weird when she knits you a jockstrap or a penis and ball tie thingy. So whoever didn't have the go ahead and vote for your favorite.
Thingy sold it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same rationale.
I almost picked jockstrap, but Thingy got me.
Yeah, that one.
What's Zayn from One Direction will be doing when he's 40? Singing songs in nursing homes or sucking D for cocaine?
Oh. All right, I gotta get naughtier then. All right.
Yeah, you gotta know your audience. Knowing your audience definitely helps.
Yeah.
All right, the worst place to put potato salad: in front of Mike or in a New England IPA.
I'm gonna see who put that because I totally eat it.
I try it.
I love potato salad. God, Bobby, come on.
Losing it.
Yeah, man. He's a first timer. He usually gets slaughtered the first time. You're like, I got to kick up the dirty factor.
He got jokes now.
Something David Schwimmer probably repeats to himself every day. I'm such a douchebag. I'm special.
David Schwimmer.
I don't even know who that is.
It's Ross from Friends. I'm hoping that's what I thought it was. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Right,
mean,
so
you
that's
can say that with
round
all three guys. I'm a douchebag.
So, tally up the score. Serious. He's in the lead in round 1. I'm in the lead. Mike in second. Brian third. Bobby, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's what you get, Bobby.
Yeah.
It's jokes.
So now you know, Bobby. Go big.
Yeah, just insult me more.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, it works. Yeah. All right. Everybody's got 2 more questions. No! I think I accidentally hit the send button. That answer's going to make no sense now.
This is a weird question. All right. All right, whatever.
I might have to read out my answer. Maybe get some sympathy votes, what it was supposed to be. All right, everybody's in. Good job, guys. The title of the shortest book ever written. Mike's Accomplishments or It?
God damn it.
Oh, that was
Oh,
There we go.
yeah.
There we go.
I already know who wrote on the left. I already know it. Even though you spell accomplishments wrong.
All right, someone's got to. We got one more vote left. Someone's got to vote. Here we go. Bobby's getting it now. Now he gets it.
He misspelled it. Get out of here.
I don't care. It's a thought that counts. A text message that Jesus sends at 3 a.m. He doesn't text, sends doves. Yeah, it should not have been Detroit.
It should not have been Detroit.
It should have been. Yeah.
Oh, safety.
I still got one.
Sympathy vote.
Yeah. That's what happened. I must have fat fingered the safety quit button. Weird advice from your grandfather. Don't take any wooden dog shampoo or dildos.
I'll be honest.
Safety quit.
I wanted to see
Dildos for the win.
Now I know. Terrible.
Yeah. If you want to survive prison, walk up to the scariest prisoner and offer to lick his taint and sack. Spread your butt cheeks. Both viable options.
Both very viable. A lot of boofing.
Don't want an answer.
Oh, we split it.
Split.
Nice.
All right, so category 5. Category 3 is very hard to go back to after having 5.
I always forget how great this game is.
All right, after round 2, see the scores. Mike's taking the lead. Second, Brian in third. But all right, so for the third round, we all will be doing a lash together. And at the end, we'll vote for probably our 2 favorites or something like that. So this one, it's going to be a comic strip, and we have to pretty much fill in the blank.
All right.
So there we'll be filling the blank in on this one. And depends on how many players we have. You'll be able to pick for like 1, 2, or 3 of your favorite answers, or which was your favorite, which was your second favorite, something like that. All right, so let's see what the answers we got. Houston's, what's the issue? Mike keeps drinking Bud Light.
I got them in the fridge.
Newton, Bowigens, nuclear taco farts, and I sharded. We're having a circle jerk. So award your gold, then award a silver.
Keeps drinking Bud Light. Oh yeah.
Well, it's not letting me. There we go. Fixed it.
You guys pick 2 different ones: your gold and your silver. All right. So let them calculate the votes. Those are your silvers, the golds. That will equate to some points.
Bowigens.
All right, so we'll check out the final scores here after the round. Where things fall.
We nailed it.
Oh, Mike beat me by 100.
That was close.
Bobby got shellacked. That's okay. It's your first game. People usually do.
Take it home.
Yes.
There you go, man. So that was Quiplash. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Always blessed.
That's awesome.
Ball.
That was awesome, man. Always
Definitely.
fun.
All right, we quit out of this.
That'd be a good bar game.
Oh, yeah.
Have Quiplash.
Yeah, we played it at Mermaid Juice for like 2.5 hours. I live streamed it.
Wow.
How'd it turn out?
It's
People
good.
like it?
All right, it was a good time.
Cool.
All right, gentlemen, we come to that part of the program. I want to see what you guys are going to be up to here in the future. Normally, actually, this would be the place where I'd say, hey, friends of the Beer Chasers. But I looked at a bunch of events for some of the guys who support and have supported us. The Rat Brewings, the Lager Houses, the Mermaid Juices. None of them have any events on their Facebook, so I have nothing to promote for them, and nobody contacted me with anything to promote. So, Bobby, the floor is yours.
All right.
What are Bowigens up to?
So the next biggest thing we have coming up, October 20th, we were having our special pumpkin ale release party. But this one's a little bit more special for us. My wife and I are expecting twins.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Coming up in November, so we're having we have kind of like a pumpkin thing going on with our family. So it's a double pumpkin ale release. So we're throwing a big party on the 20th. A lot of other beers. We'll get Heffin' Awesome back on tap as well. So now a lot of people are excited about that. So
there you go, Hollywood. Got to get out there.
Yeah.
There's your chance. Anything else? Anything else coming up?
I mean, besides that, we'll have some more stuff coming up around the holidays. We're planning a few more big bottle releases. But that's the next biggest event we got going on. Other than that, we're gonna keep making beer, keep doing new stuff and experimenting because we are independent and we can do what we want. So that's what we're gonna do.
Until you sell out, you son of a bitch. No.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Mike. What are you getting to here in the future? What's going on at the Bar Podcast?
We have a website up at thebarpodcast.com. Plug. We have a merch store coming up soon.
You always start breaking up as soon as you start talking.
Am I breaking up now?
Yeah. You're good now.
Am I still breaking up?
You're good.
Okay. We have a website at thebarpodcast.com. We are having a merch store. We're going to sell t-shirts. I am designing half, and then we hired a designer who will design another half of the store. So we have that. Podcast stuff is really just, that's it, really just at the bar stuff, weekly show. Check it out. We went to Cuba, as in Jeff and his girlfriend Cassie. They went to Cuba for 4 days. We talked about it on a 2-part episode kind of thing.
Break it up.
Beer event. I'm not sure if we're gonna do another one soon. I'm kind of getting the itch to do one.
Yeah.
I had to talk to Jeff about it, but we might do a beer event soon. But other than that, same old shit.
You know some people. You know how to get it done.
I do know people.
Mike, what are the new ways people can reach you? What are your new platforms?
iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and the website. So if you aren't subscribed to any of those, you can listen to each episode ad free. and not have to subscribe or download anything but from the website at thebarpodcast.com.
Awesome. Brian, what's in the future for you, brother?
Nothing nearly as exciting as these gentlemen. For me, not a whole lot. I did just spend more money investing into doing video editing. So I bought, again, more video editing software, some color grading stuff, trying to learn and experiment, playing around with some of that, some more camera equipment that I just picked up because I want to try to venture out and explore doing some more, I guess you could call them vlogs in a sense. I kind of want to go out and show more of Florida, show some of the really great spots while enjoying a good craft beer somewhere along a trail, somewhere along some of the nice, incredible wildlife parks and preserves that we have all around the area. But for the most part, that's it. Just trying to get back into feeling motivated and trying to put out some more videos. I've got a fridge full of beers. Hopefully you and I will potentially collaborate on doing some reviews.
Yes, sir. Next week. I'm hoping next week.
Excellent. And I know you sent me out some of your home brews, so I'm really looking forward to trying those and giving you my thoughts on that.
Allegedly. I allegedly sent you something.
Allegedly, yes. Something just showed up at my house. I don't know how it got here. But anyway, that's it. I'm really looking forward to trying those and doing some collabs with you again here in the near future. And the next podcast is going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely look forward to it. In the Beer Chaser world, just still getting through a lot of the old content. I've been doing some live stuff. Most recent episode with Denny Kahn was just a dream come true, and that interview could not have gone any better, man. I was super happy with everything that came out and a lot of the information he shared. So if you're into home brewing and you don't know who Denny Kahn is, you should go research him, read about him, and definitely come check out that interview because there are a lot of nuggets of wisdom. The thing I love about Denny is it's always home brewing focused. There's a lot of brewing legend and myth that's been passed down from commercial brewing that doesn't always translate well to home brewing. And Denny will go through that for you and say, yeah, this is what a commercial brewing does, but this is kind of what you do at the home brewing level. You don't have to do all that other crap. So, he basically is straight to the point. Awesome. October 22nd, I will be at Vetterbrew during their Oktoberfest. We're doing a homebrew competition, so basically German-style beers. The Preston Weiser will be out there, and it's in its banana form at the moment. It's definitely banana bomb, but we'll see how it turns out. Doing that. What is it, November 18th, I will be at the Bad at Business Beer Festival. Bobby, you guys going to be down there?
That is a good question. We haven't confirmed it yet. Probably. I think we were there last year, so we'll probably be up again this year.
Yes, we'll be there serving some beer under the Bayboro banner, so come by and say hello. We're bringing up the peanut butter chocolate stout.
Yeah, I like this shirt.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. Look at you, advertising. I should have done that. Peanut butter chocolate stout version 6. I'm going crazy with this one, trying a couple different treatments. If you come up to me and say, hello, what's up, Bayboro family, I will let you in the secret stash. Other than that, you guys get the stuff we brought. But I'm doing the peanut butter chocolate stout the typical way, just slightly different variants, and I've got a couple special treatments that I will share with our true fans. So again, come up to me and tell me, hey, what's up, Bayboro family, and I'll let you into the secret stash. I'm also bringing up my pecan vanilla doppelbock for anybody who gives you the keyword there. So again, come up, say what's up, Bayboro family. I'll know that you're from the podcast. I'll know you're from the show, and I will open up the vault and let you try some of the secret stash we got. Other than that, man, just rocking and rolling. It's been difficult. Life, podcasting, beer brewing, beer researching, cleaning, secondaries, vanilla treatments. I mean, it's taken over. So it's harder to get content out these days. So I appreciate everybody's patience and waiting for some of these episodes a couple weeks. So it's been hard to get to them. Other than that, that's all I got. Gentlemen, final word. Mike.
Yeah.
What you got? Close it up.
Oh, I got to close it. Oh,
not close it.
Thanks.
Your final word.
My final words.
Plug it anywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug it. Go to Bowigens in Castleberry. They have good stuff. I've known Bobby for close to 2 years now. I always go as much as I can. They do good stuff. I highly recommend.
You're breaking up, Mike. You son of a bitch.
Damn it.
You're back.
Go to Bowigens. If you see me there, ask for a Bud Light. I'll have one in my truck.
Bobby, final words. Plug it anywhere. What you got?
This is the biggest thing is I want to thank you guys for having me back on, always supporting us and supporting the community for what you guys do, bringing up craft beer and giving people a forum to speak about it. So I just want to say cheers. And thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it, guys.
Cheers,
gentlemen. Cheers. Brian, final word. What you got?
It's always a pleasure joining you guys for these podcasts. And now that I've met Bobby, I have a reason to go to Castleberry. I don't think I've ever been out there, so I'll definitely have to make the journey and try some of his wonderful brews. And hopefully I can now that I've got more money and a better job, I'm hoping to do some more traveling. So maybe I can catch you guys at some of these festivals that you're always promoting and going out to. But that's all I got.
Awesome. Brian, there's a couch with your name on it here. Actually, I got a spare bedroom with an air mattress. I've upgraded. So anytime you want to flop down, there's no shortage of beers, and I'm waiting for somebody to come over and review with me. I know, Mike, I still am holding on to the vertical of KBS for your arrival. A couple other special nuggets that are waiting for you. He's on that corporate schedule now. But I will mirror what Mike said. Definitely go check out Bobby and Bowigens. Great people, great beers. Always been super supportive of the show, and that's all we ask for. It's finding those people in the community that help and support. So we always appreciate Bobby and help us spread the word of the Beer Chasers. And we will always be there for him as he is there always for us. And that's it, man. Come check us out, wherever we are, and support everybody here from At the Bar Podcast, and Burnt Brian, to Bowigens. Awesome gentlemen. Appreciate your time as always. And I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. So I'm Preston. That was Mike. We got Bobby. Brian, this was Beer Chasers Podcast number 4. We will see you next time in about 3 to 4 months. Until then, check you later.
See you.
Peace.